Hello, welcome to the notes on two angles and parallel lines. So today what we're going to be discussing is the same angles that were in the last video, except today what's going to happen is our two lines that get intersected by the transversal, what's going to happen is they're going to be parallel. So we have to start somewhere. So in order to prove these theorems and to make sure that they're true, we have to make one assumption. And it's going to take the form of a postulate. So the corresponding angles postulate says, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. So here we have a set of corresponding angles, angle 1 and 2 in our picture. They are, because the lines are parallel, we know they're parallel because of these little arrows, then we know that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. So the way that we would write that out as like what theorem or postulate would you use, we would say parallel lines, this little arrow here means, the way you would say this out loud is implies. So this means implies that corresponding angles are congruent. So it's going to be all of them, okay? In this picture, we only have one, but there are four pairs of corresponding angles. When you have two lines that are being cut by a transversal or intersected by a transversal, all four of them would be congruent. Not all to each other, but to their corresponding angles. All right, so our first theorem here is the alternate interior angles theorem. And what this theorem says that if you have two parallel lines and you cut them by a transversal, what's going to happen is both pairs of alternate interior angles are going to be congruent. Now it tells us here to prove it. We no longer do proof so much in this class, but if we were, we would do two-column proofs. Those were the most popular type of proofs in geometry. So we're going to go ahead and do that. It's in a two-column proof. The left column is the statement. The right column is your reason. You're backing up what kind of statement you're making. So in this picture, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an angle right here. Where across from 3, I'm going to add an angle 2. So what I would be able to say is angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. How do I know that? Well, from the previous chapter, we learned that vertical angles are congruent. So that's the vertical angles theorem. Then what I would say is angle 2 is congruent to angle 4, right? 3 is congruent to 2, 2 is congruent to 4, and the reason that I know 2 is congruent to 4 is the postulate I just showed you. If we have parallel lines, that implies corresponding angles are congruent. And now my last statement would be angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. How do I know that? Well, if we cut out the middle guy here, they're both congruent to angle 2. If two angles are congruent to the same angle, they have to be congruent to each other. And that is a property that we haven't talked about, but it's transitive. It's called the transitive property. And the transitive property is if you're comparing three different quantities, if two of them are congruent to the same quantity or value or angle or segment, then they have to be congruent to each other. Another reason here could be substitution, right? I could take 2. If 2 is equal to 3, I substitute it in for angle 2 in the second statement. But here I have proven that angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. All right, the next one is the CIA theorem. And the CIA theorem says if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then they are going to be supplements. Okay, angle 5 and angle 6 are supplements. And if you think about it, 6 right here is congruent to this angle here because they're corresponding. And 5 and that angle are supplements because they're a linear pair. So therefore, if 6 is equal to that angle up there, they have to be supplements as well. So that's kind of the proof of it without proving it. All right, so if you have parallel lines, CIAs are supplementary. So here we show the measure of 5 plus the measure of 6 is going to equal 180. Next one, alternate exterior angle theorem. And that says if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then the pairs of alternate exterior angles are going to be congruent. Again, I could add an angle right here. Angle 6. Angle 6 and angle 8 are congruent because they're corresponding. So therefore, 7 is congruent to 8 because 7 is congruent to 6 vertical angles, 7 is congruent to 8. Okay, if you have parallel lines, that implies that alternate exterior angles will be congruent, and that's both pairs of them. Okay, the perpendicular transversals theorem. If a transversal is perpendicular to one of two parallel lines, then it has to be perpendicular to the other one. And that should make sense because of a few reasons. This angle right here, if it's a right angle, this one has to be the same measure because they're corresponding. So if it's going to be perpendicular to one, it's not going to suddenly bend and hit the parallel line in a different way. It's going to be perpendicular as well. And remember, it forms 90-degree angles. Two perpendicular lines form 90-degree angles. Okay, so if you have two parallel lines like we have here, and they're being cut by a transversal, you are going to be able to find every single angle in this cluster of angles. And we're going to justify each answer with one of the previous theorems. So, couple of different things you can do here. I could say this one's 65, and then my justification would be parallel lines implies alternate interior angles congruent, or had I gone up here, I would say parallel lines implies corresponding angles are congruent. So your justification just depends on how you look at this problem. I would say this angle 65, and again, I could say it's because they're vertical angles. I could have said because it's corresponding with that top one. I could say it's alternate exterior with that green 65 in the top right. It's just completely up to me how I do that. So it's my justification depends, and it could vary from one person to the other depending which angle they look at first. All right, let's find the other four angles. I could say this one's 115. I have a couple different reasons. If I'm using the previous ones, these are consecutive interior angles. So parallel lines implies CIAs are not congruent, but they are supplementary. And of all the four angle pairs that we've talked about, CIAs are the only ones that are going to be supplements. The rest are all congruent. So corresponding angles are congruent, alternate interior angles are congruent, and alternate exterior angles are congruent. CIAs are the only ones that are not. Okay, so then if that one's 115, I say this one's 115 because of alternate interior angles. This one's 115 because they're corresponding. This one corresponds to this one. And then this one is 115 because it's alternate exterior with this top one over here. And the order in which you did this could be a little bit different than mine, and that's okay. So when you're going to be solving these problems involving transversals, you're going to have to use a variety of different angle relationships that we have learned. It's not going to be like one example from the notes is going to look exactly like what you're going to do in classwork. It's going to look exactly like what you're going to do on a quiz or test. You have to first figure out which pair of angles you have, if any. Then you need to decide whether to set the values equal to each other or add them up and equal them to 180. Again, that's going to vary. You're going to solve for the intended variable or angle, and then make sure you answer the actual question. Just because you solve for the variable doesn't mean you're done. Sometimes they want you to find the measure of an angle or whatnot. Okay, so double check and make sure you plug the values back in and find angle measures. All right, so let's take a look at our first example here. They want us to find x, and when we're done, they want us to find the measure of angle 4. Looking at these two angle measurements that they gave, 125 and 2x plus 15. Of the angle pairs that we learned with the transversal, this really doesn't have a name. Most of the books, sometimes they'll call them consecutive exterior angles. But what I would do is if I know this is 125, I know if angle 4 is also 125. So the measure of angle 4 is 125 degrees. Now, what I know is that these two angles form a linear pair. So I'm going to add them together. 2x plus 15 degrees plus 125 degrees is going to equal 180. They are supplements. So let's combine let's clean up our left side. 2x plus, I'm going to get 140. When I add 15 plus 125, this is going to equal 180 degrees. subtract 140 from both sides, we get 2x equals 40. X is going to equal 20. And I could double check my answer. 2 times 20 plus 15. This is going to equal 40 plus 15. This is 55 degrees. And I should be asking myself, is 125 plus 55, will that add up to 180? Because if I solved incorrectly for x, I would not get those two to add up to 180. So when I plug in 55 plus 125 does equal 180, I am confident. So what I used is the fact that I knew there were parallel lines, so I knew corresponding angles are congruent. That is the theorem that I used. All right, looking at example 3, now we're going to find the measure or the value of x and the measures of the labeled angles. All right, so first thing I notice is I have x's and y's. So either I'm going to have to do a system or hopefully be able to avoid a system, if at all possible, by using angle relationships, because these lines are parallel, that will help me. So what I mean by that is, looking at this, I know this angle is equal to this angle. They're congruent because they're alternate exterior angles. However, one has an x in it and one has a y. If I set those equal to each other, that's not a false equation. That is true. 9x plus 12 is equal to 4y minus 10. Because these lines are parallel, those two angles are equal. But I'm going to do all I can to try to avoid a system. The next thing I notice is these two angles, not from this chapter, but from the previous chapter, they're a linear pair. So 3x plus 4y minus 10 is going to equal 180. Again, that is not a false statement. That is completely true. But again, I would have two different variables, so I'm going to try to avoid that. So let's see what I can do here to try to move things around or use corresponding angles or vertical angles or what have you to make my life a little bit easier. So I know these two angles are congruent. Because they're corresponding, this angle is also going to be 3x degrees. So what I could do is write an equation then using these two angles. So I can write 9x plus 12 plus 3x is going to equal 180. I'm going to clean up the left side here. I get 12x plus 12 equals 180. So 12x is going to equal 168. X is going to equal 14. All right, so now to find y, now that I have x, I could plug x in here. 3 times 14, this is going to equal 42 degrees. And so now I'm going to use linear pairs. 4y minus 10 degrees plus 42 is going to equal 180. And I apologize, my stylus doesn't work so well on the app that I'm using to record these. So 4y plus 32 is going to equal 180. Subtract 32 from both sides. We get 4y equals 148. Y is going to equal 37. And again, there are multiple ways I could have gotten to this answer. I could have done a system, and that would be fine as well, but try to look for little ways to make your life easier. There's going to be theorems that we're going to use from this chapter, from the previous chapter, that you're going to have to kind of look at a problem. You're going to get better at this as you practice it, but you're going to look at a problem and see, okay, what kind of different methods can I use to solve for what I need to solve for? And that is what's a bit tricky with geometry, is it's not all, straightforward like Algebra 1, where your teacher does a problem in class, you follow the steps, you kind of mimic that on your classwork, you mimic that on the notes, or in the notes, the homework, the assessments. It's a little bit different now in geometry. All right, example 4. I want you all to try it. The first thing I notice is we have a quadratic here. So I've been warning my students, quadratics are not going away. They are going to be with us the rest of the school year. We're going to be practicing them, and we want you to master how to solve quadratics. So if you're still struggling, please come in and get some help. Pause the video and work through this problem. I will start you off. We know that I look at this and I know these two angles are alternate interiors, so they are congruent. They're going to equal each other. So 2x plus 63. How did I know that? Well, I knew they were parallel lines, so that implies alternate interior angles are congruent. All right, so we want to set this equal to 0, solve for x using the zero product property, and then the answers are actually written on the bottom here. Okay, hopefully you got 9 or -7 using zero product property. Now, when we get two answers, because these values of the variable can be plugged in for angles, for segments, for sides of shapes, you have to make sure that they both work when you plug them in. And what I mean by that is we can never have lengths that are negative. We can't have angles that are negative. All of our answers have to be positive. So here, actually 9 and -7, they both were fine. If you plug in 9, it's no problem. You get 81. If you plug in -7, it's no problem. You get 49 degrees. So those are completely okay. Both of those answers work. And now to get angle 3, remember, depending on what x is, so if x is 9, if you get 81, you take that away from 180, linear pair. If x was -7, you get 49 degrees here. So what would angle 3 be? 180 minus 49, also known as 131 degrees. Okay, this next problem is a very, very popular type of problem that you're going to see throughout this chapter. And in order to find the measure of angle 1, what you're going to have to do, the hint, is to draw the auxiliary line. Now, anytime you see a problem like this, your teacher will be saying, oh, this is the crooked line problem, because that's what we call this. Okay, so we call this the crooked line. And we laugh because the line has to be straight, but in this case, we call it crooked, right? There's this line here that got bent. So the hint is to draw in, like I said, the auxiliary line. Well, what is an auxiliary line? It is an additional line, ray, or segment that's added to a figure to help us aid in the proof. So what you're going to do is through this crooked line, you are going to draw your auxiliary line that's going to go through the vertex, through the bend of that line. So what we've done here is we have created 3 parallel lines. So I'm going to draw in the arrows. And now I have a set of 3 parallel lines. Here's what you're going to do. You are going to find this angle in 2 different parts. You're going to find this top part, then you're going to find this bottom part, and then you're going to add those 2 together to get the entire angle 1. Well, I know your question probably now is how? Well, here, if you notice, I have a set of parallel lines. So 62 and this top portion of angle 1 are alternate interior angles. So the top portion here has to be 62. Now the bottom portion, this angle, the bottom missing piece, and 144, those are consecutive interior angles. So they have to add up to 180. So 180 minus 144 gives us 36 degrees. So now the measure of angle 1 is going to equal 62, the top portion, plus 36, the bottom portion that I just found. And this is going to equal 98 degrees. All right, there'll be plenty more of those types to practice because you could be missing the angle in different pieces. So we will practice it in class. So the classwork next time you go to class is going to be 2-2 and another Snapple fact for you. All right, thank you so much for watching. Have a great one. Bye.